What's up guys, Freezy here. Genshin Impact will be released globally in a few days, and it is already available in China. I got a lot of questions regarding the game while I was streaming it, so this video will be a mix of my first impressions and a quick review on Genshin Impact. I will show some gameplay, go over what I like and what I dislike about the game. So let's start with the introduction. Genshin Impact is made by the same company who made Honkai Impact Third. I have been a top 20 player in Honkai JP server for years, so I'm pretty hardcore. For the 50 hours I played over the past 10 days, I find Genshin is, in a lot of ways, very similar to Honkai. So if you enjoyed Honkai, there's a pretty good chance you'll like Genshin too. Genshin is a 3D action RPG set in an open world. In practice, it plays like an MMORPG with no other players in it. However, unlike an MMORPG, Genshin has the standard gacha system for mobile games. Currently, gacha is the only way to unlock more characters and 5-star weapons, so it is the most important part of the game economy. The main gameplay loop is basically exploring new locations, looting chests, solving puzzles, and farming materials through monsters and dungeons, so nothing new here. The combat is your typical ARPG. It is fast-paced and emphasizes team synergy. In Genshin, there's this elemental reaction system. Every character has a designated element, and their attack or skill will apply the elemental debuff to the enemy. If you hit the enemy with a different elemental attack, it will cause a reaction and trigger various effects. Say if you hit an enemy with a fire attack while they have water on them, it causes vaporization, which increases the attack's damage. At its core, the combat is very similar to Honkai. There are constant character swaps, applying debuff with support characters, and finishing a combo with the main damage dealer and repeat. Each character has a very limited move pool, and most characters just use their skill once and switch out. Overall, I find the combat in Genshin much less dynamic when compared to Honkai. It is not bad, but definitely inferior to its predecessor. Now let's go over the things I like about Genshin Impact. I absolutely love sightseeing. I actively do so in almost every game I play, and Genshin has some of the most beautiful scenery I've seen in an anime-style game. Many times I was doing quests and got distracted by the scenery and ended up sidetracking to climb some mountains. This usually results in finding hidden treasures, and that's a pretty good experience. Another thing I really like about Genshin is the boss fight. Right now there are not too many of them in the game, but most of them are interesting and cool looking. Between dodging attacks, executing combos, and hitting weak spots, the boss fights are much more dynamic than fighting mobs. Given how Honkai has developed over the years, there are definitely gonna be more cool bosses in the future, and I'm looking forward to playing more. Now let's talk about the thing I hated the most about Genshin, and that is the exploration reward. For an open world game, giving players meaningful rewards for exploring is a must. Unfortunately, Genshin didn't really deliver on that. For example, here I climbed this really tall mountain and found a secret puzzle on top of it. I had to go to 3 other mountains and activate 3 mechanisms to solve the puzzle. After moving the 3 mechanisms with excitement, I unlocked a path to a little palace in the sky. Normally you'd think there's gonna be sick loot up there, and unfortunately that is not the case. There are 3 chests up there, and all I got was some garbage items that are all used for EXP fodder and a food recipe. They couldn't even bother to give you a single 5-star gear for getting to the highest point in the whole world, and that is just sad. The whole exploration is only there to farm EXP fodder and stamina level ups. The devs managed to turn the most exciting thing about an open world game into tedious grinding, and I really didn't like that. The other thing I dislike in Genshin is the extremely slow early game. The first area in the game is very boring, and the 4 starting characters are not very fun to play. The game eventually picks up after reaching the second area with much more beautiful landscape and interesting puzzles. After doing the gacha a bunch and unlocking new characters, the game becomes a lot better, but you gotta play for a few hours to get to that point. Some of my friends dropped the game just a few hours in before getting to the good part, and that's really a shame because the second area is significantly better. Lastly, let's talk about the gacha rate. The grade and guarantee might change upon full release, but it is highly unlikely. Right now the chance of obtaining a 5-star item is 0.6% per pull, and that 5-star item is not limited to a character. It can be a weapon or an off-banner character. You are guaranteed to get a 5-star item every 90 pulls, and every 180 pulls, there is a guarantee on the banner character. Based on my experience and watching other streamers, the rate is fairly low, and your chance of getting good things outside the guarantee is unlikely. The daily gem income is as follows. Overall, it is not too hard to farm gems in this game, but as a free-to-play or light spender, you do want to save a few months until you have enough for the guarantee. Since there are going to be events and other gem incomes, I think overall the gacha experience will be similar to Honkai. Play long enough and you will eventually get a half-decent team. Right now the game doesn't have any PvP based content, so acquiring top meta characters are unnecessary. But having top tier characters does make a huge difference. The top characters are significantly stronger than your starting roster, and they might even have better ways of traversing the world. And that concludes it for my Genshin review. My overall rating on Genshin Impact is a 6 out of 10. It is an average game on launch. When compared to other mobile games, I'd say Genshin is far better than most other mobile MMOs. But compared to MMOs on PC, Genshin doesn't have much more to offer. I'd much rather play something like Final Fantasy XIV or WoW. I think the game is definitely worth a try since it's free and will offer you a few hours of entertainment at least. But I also think Genshin is not for everyone. There are a lot of grinding to do in Genshin, and the gacha factor might discourage some players. The game has potential to be great, and I'm looking forward to the future updates. I'll be doing a few more videos on Genshin, and if it gets better, I'll definitely stick around. That's it for this video, thanks for watching and have a nice day.